This is music, and this is the 2023 CD Tag DJ Trish Edition. I'm quite late to the party on this one. It seems that there's a whole bunch of CD tags going on, but I decided to jump on DJ Trish's version of the CD tag. She has 11 kind of tasks for us. Let's just get down to business. Up first, shout out 3 channels that inspired you to pick up a CD. I guess recently, I don't think it has to be in 2022. I have a triumvirate of UK channels, starting out with the Death Doom Metalhead, who inspired me to pick up a copy of Sexy Beard Squad, also known as Consecration, of their EP Reanimated. And this one contains 3 tracks that are old tracks that have been re-recorded. And this is great stuff. It's Death Doom, and the vocals are just amazing. If you like Death Doom, check this one out. And check out Death Doom Metalhead's channel as well. Similar story, Josh Keach, who inspired me to pick up Warrior in the Clouds on CD. That is Josh Keach's own debut EP. And this is instrumental guitar rock / metal, and it's very, very good, very well composed songs. There's a lot of focus on writing good songs and not just playing the fastest guitar solos possible. If you're into Joey Tarfala, if you're into Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, that sort of stuff, check out Warrior in the Clouds Part 1 and check out Josh Keach's channel. And the third one is Mark G with a C. He's also in a band, by the way, Enchantment. Check out Cold Soul Embrace, their latest release. A couple of years ago, he did an entire video on UK thrash metal, which inspired me to go nuts and pick up a whole bunch of CDs. A lot of them were Dive Bomb reissue CDs, but a whole bunch of CDs with the artists that he talked about in his videos, such as this one here, Balance of Power by Arbitrator. And this is actually a 2-in-1 because you have 2 albums on it. This is fantastic. Melodic thrash metal, and this represents all the CDs that Mark inspired me to pick up. Check out Mark G with a C's channel too. So there you go. That is task 1. Task 2, name a music genre you would like to see more of in the VC. This is not a genre, to be perfectly frank, but I would like to see more music with lyrics in another language than English, such as maybe José Zid, who has, this is a progressive rock album with lyrics in Portuguese, and this one is amazing. It is up there with all the classics, I would say, like your Genesis, your Gentle Giant, your King Crimson, your Yes, all that stuff. This one is up there. It's just with lyrics in Portuguese. Or, and this, I know this is more progressive rock, El Runerod, Sonetårene 1969 til 1972. This is a compilation, but this is Danish language, darkly psychedelic progressive rock from the late 60s, early 70s, with lyrics in Danish, right? Or could be Trian, folk music / folk rock. Kind of depends on the album. This is just a compilation, Le Meilleur de Trian. French language, folk music, folk rock from Breton in France. Very, very good stuff. And yeah, I'd like to see more music with lyrics in other languages than English. But I think maybe that responsibility falls upon those of us who actually speak those other languages. So maybe it's really, I should do more. I don't know. But yeah, Trian, they actually represent another kind of genre I'd like to see more of, and that's folk music and world music. But there you go. Up next, show a mixtape or mix CD that you made. To be honest, I don't really make mixtapes anymore. I don't really make mix CDs anymore. I'll get to that later, but I have this one here. which contains some music that I made. I didn't make this one, my dad made it, but it's with some music I made. I recorded it in his home studio, and it was kind of taking up all the space on his hard disk, so he sort of, transferred it onto a CD so he could clear up the hard disk. And I ended up actually ripping the CD the other day because the data are really deteriorating, so I had to save it. But yeah, so my dad made this one, but it contains music that I made. That's the best I can do here. Show a mixtape or CD someone else made for you. I have this one here, which my dad made too. It's a live set that he and his band did a couple of years ago, which he gave me. So there you go. Straight from the mixing desk in the venue. That's always cool. So there you go. Question task 5. Show 2 or more jazz CD recommendations. Sure. Chick Corea Electric Band, Beneath the Mask. This is jazz rock with lots of keyboards, as you can see. And this is actually very mellow, very chill, very just a pleasure to listen to. Very catchy. I think, this is the one that has a song called One of Us is Over 40, and it's actually very good stuff. Cuddy Band with Friends. Live at Streaming. This is also jazz rock, and this is absolutely amazing. This is fantastic as well. So check this one out. I guess more funk jazz, to be honest. Herbie Hancock, Headhunters. This is more funky, but he is a jazz artist, and this is one of my favorite album. I guess it's an album, EP, I don't know, but I really enjoy this one. It's one of my favorites, even though it's not metal. And last, some metal. Just to challenge people, Atheist Elements. This is jazz meets death metal. There is an entire genre of death metal where you have lots of jazz in it. This is their most jazzy album, so that does mean that a lot of fans of death metal have a bit of a hard time with this one, but I think it's very good and it's very interesting. So if you are a jazz fan and you want to challenge yourself, check out Atheist's Elements, or maybe Pestilence's Spheres. That's another one that incorporates jazz and death metal. Or Cynic's first album, Focus. That also combines jazz and death metal. So there you go, some jazz CDs. Okay, task 6. Name 3 local record stores that you buy music from. I'll mention more than 3. Accord is a local record store here in Copenhagen. It's actually a chain of local record stores. They've had to close down 2 of their shops recently, which is very worrying, to be honest, but they have lots of stuff, all sorts of genres, secondhand, new stuff, very good stuff. I also want to mention Mint Records. That's another local record store here in Copenhagen. They also have CDs, they have DVDs and vinyl. I pick up a lot of CDs there, actually. Sound Station is another record store here in Copenhagen. It's actually very, very close to Mint Records. They have a lot of vinyl, but they also have some CDs as well, and they have lots of cool stuff. And then I want to mention Moby Disc, which is a local record store in another city, namely Odense, which is where I was actually born and I grew up. And they also have a shop in Vejle, which is another town in Denmark. So yeah, Moby Disc, they have lots of cool stuff too. And the last one I want to mention is Mephisto. And while all the other shops are like more general shops, Mephisto has specialized in metal. It's a very small record store in a basement here in Copenhagen, and it's a great store. They have lots of metal. If you're interested in metal music, that's where you would go first, I think. So yeah, 5 record stores where I buy my music, out of many, many, many more. But I think those are the 5 ones where I buy the most stuff these days. Okay. Name your favorite online CD store. I would actually also mention Moby Disc here, because they have an online shop, and I sometimes actually quite often buy their stuff online because it's in some different cities from where I live. Accord, they also have an online store where I buy some things every now and then. I don't have them send it to me, only if I'm really lazy. Then I typically just go for the local pickup option. And Mephisto also has a record store. But so I want to mention those. But one store where I buy a lot of CDs from online is iMusic. And I think they're a Danish kind of mega store, kind of like Amazon. But I know they have a store in Denmark, but they might not be exclusively Danish. I've seen some other iMusic things pop up elsewhere in Europe, but I like buying CDs from them. And also I want to mention Vinylpladen. I buy vinyl from that record store, but that's one of my favorite online music stores too. So that was 7. Question 8. Show the blank CD brand that you use to make mixed CDs. And like I said, I don't really make mixed CDs anymore. I do occasionally transfer data to a CD, and then I typically use Verbatim because they're pretty much everywhere, and they're pretty much affordable. 9. Show a blank cassette brand that you use to make mixtapes. Again, I don't make mixtapes anymore. I did make mixtapes back in the 80s and early 90s. And I would typically use Maxell tapes or TDK or BASF tapes, along with some other brands. But those are the ones I remember using the most frequently. So question 10, what inspires you to make mixtapes/CDs? I don't make them anymore, like I said, but that's because what inspired me, first of all, to make them was mobility. I could record or transfer some songs from my CDs and from my records primarily onto cassette tape format, and then I could listen to that on my Walkman while bicycling to and from school. Later on, I invested in a Discman, so I made some mixed CDs then to listen to. Not great though. The Discman, it skips every time you hit a bump in the road or whatever if you're bicycling. Not great, but whatever. And I also did the mini disc thing for a while and made some mini disc mixed discs or whatever to bring with me to listen to. I quite preferred that actually over the mixed CD on the CD man. But then MP3, that format kind of took over. And to begin with, the first couple of MP3 players were kind of pathetic, to be honest. You couldn't fit a whole lot of music on there, so I preferred the mini disc at that point. But eventually you ended up with, like iPads and things like that. So that's what I use now, and I think that's why I don't make mixed tapes anymore, or mixed CDs anymore, because my motivation was mobility, bring the music with me so I could listen to it while on the go. I know other people have other reasons to do mixtapes and CDs, and that's great, but that's my motivation, and that's probably why I don't really do that stuff anymore. And the last question is, do you think CDs and tapes are making a comeback? I think there is certainly a cassette tape revival, especially in some of the underground scenes, like the underground metal scenes. Some of them, like the black metal scene, I think I've always seen cassette tapes kind of like being released on that scene. But a lot of the other kind of metal scenes are starting, like death metal. You have lots of death metal being released on cassette tapes. And you have lots of labels releasing cassette tapes. Dying Victims Productions is one example. Jawbreaker Records is another example. Destruction Records is yet another example. And Dead Bangers Productions, yet another example. And then you have some labels in Southeast Asia that have focused completely on cassette tapes too. So the cassette tape is certainly making a comeback. There's a revival, but it's a niche revival and a niche comeback. It's only certain scenes, I think, and certain types of music fans that pick up cassette tapes. I know there are other underground scenes than just the metal scenes where you also see lots of cassette tapes. And I know there are some labels and scenes where they actually release kind of like official mixed tapes too. So yeah, the CD as well, I think, is making a comeback, but it's kind of strange. Second-hand CDs are getting very popular. I think they're almost free, to be honest. People throw them in your faces. So second-hand CDs, yeah. And I think new CDs were making a comeback, but I see the prices are creeping up a bit. So I'm afraid people will maybe abandon this format too, the new CDs, and then focus on second-hand ones. But that might have a positive effect. It might force the prices down a bit. And the reason why I think CDs and cassette tapes are making a comeback, I think there are two reasons for it. First of all, nostalgia. Well, maybe three reasons. Nostalgia to kind of like more mature people, and curiosity among younger people who have watched Stranger Things and have kind of romanticized the 80s and early 90s. And then as an alternative to vinyl, because new vinyl are going sky high in terms of prices. So yeah, I think CDs, cassette tapes are making a comeback. I think it's niche. I don't think they will beat streaming off the scene. I think it is niche, but in those niche fan communities, whatever, yes, they are making a comeback. So that was my contribution to DJ Trish's version of the 2023 CD tag. Thanks for watching.